What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another live stream. And today is a video that I'm very, very excited for. And I really am so glad that I chose the two guys that I chose for this video to join me here today. Today, number one, we're just wrapping up a whole, couple months of covering weekly Marvel movies that have not covered on the channel. There's still plenty more, and we will get back to the Marvel series at some point. But I wanted to move into some Disney movies because most people who know me know that I grew up heavily on Disney. I love the theme parks. I love the world of Disney. And my favorite era of the Disney films is the Renaissance period that started from 1989 with The Little Mermaid and ended in 1999 with Tarzan. It's probably one of my favorite of the animated runs. There's so many great films in there. Beauty and the Beast, Mulan, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and today the one we're talking about, 1994's The Lion King. And I'm very happy to be joined by Rashad of Rashad G Reviews, as well as Mike of Did You See That? Now, Rashad, I invited on because I know he's seen this film before and he is a fan of this film. And I wanted to kind of get the perception of somebody who was a little bit older when this film came out, whereas I was literally 1 year old when this film came out. I was 1 year old. I remember being a baby with this movie. I have stories that we'll share today of me with old little light up shoes with Simba on the side. I have so many fond memories of being a super young kid loving this movie. And Mike, who has never, ever seen this movie before, a film that I can easily say I've seen. I want to say, no, this is no exaggeration. I have seen The Lion King well over 200 times over the course of my life. And it is without a doubt, one of my favorite films of all time. So guys, thank you so much for taking this trip back to 1994 with me. This is a film, like I said, has a very special place in my heart. It has a beautiful musical score given to us by Hans Zimmer, musical songs that were written by people like Elton John, some of the most iconic Disney tracks of all time. There are expansions and shows and theme park attractions across various Disney parks over the course of the world. It would end up inspiring a Broadway musical that is one of the most beloved Broadway musicals of all time that ended up winning awards. And the film itself won 2 Oscars when it came out and won 43 awards overall. I think had 30-something other nominations in the year that it came out. So without a doubt, one of the most highly praised Disney films of its generation. And so, Rashad, we'll start with you, man. Okay. What are your thoughts? I'm so sorry. Somebody was knocking on the door of my neighbor right now, and I thought they were knocking on my door. I was like, "This is about to."
I thought you seen a ghost. Like, what the hell?
I was like, what? It's a guy calling for maintenance. I see this guy. I heard somebody screaming outside the door, but he's calling for the people next door. Okay, that gave me a heart attack real quick. You guys just caught you. Yeah, you caught me. You said it was Mufasa.
Yeah.
Rashad, well, before I toss it off, I'm glad you said that, Mike, because this movie also has an all-star cast. You have Matthew Broderick in the mix, you have Whoopi Goldberg, you have Jeremy Irons, and of course the late great James Earl Jones, who of course also very famously played the character of Darth Vader, my favorite character of his, but Mufasa is a close second. He's played so many incredible roles. Rashad, what were your thoughts about this movie when it first came out? Do you remember what it was like when this film came out and kind of growing up with it, and how do you feel about it all these years later?
Well, first of all, I don't appreciate being invited on here because you wanted old heads perspective. Okay, I caught that shade to my somebody that was older when it came out. Man, I'm not that fucking old. Okay.
All right. Well, how old were you when this movie came out?
14.
That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. I was an infant and you were a teenager, so I'm sure the perspective was ever so slightly different.
Yeah, it was. Well, to be honest, I had no desire to watch The Lion King when it came out. I saw the trailers and the TV spots because at that time I was smelling my own piss. So I was into horror movies and more mature movies because I thought I was a man. I had some bass in my voice and hair on my chest. So I had no desire to watch The Lion King. So I happened to be at my aunt's house and my cousin is like 2 or 3 and they rented it from the local video store. So I'm like, man, we got to sit there and watch The Lion King. So I sat there, and at first, my attitude was like, here we go, another kiddie musical. I'd rather be watching Freddy Krueger right now. And about 10 minutes in, I'm like, okay. And then during what's the scene where Simba's getting chased by all those, what you call it?
With the hyenas, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, so about halfway through, I'm into it more than the kids are. And then by the end, I'm in tears. So that was one of those experiences where I came into it expecting nothing. I had low expectations. I did not care. And by the end, I was like, hey, I can't wait to own this movie. But of course, I can't go to my friends and be like, "Yo, I seen the new Lion King. Yo, that shit's hot, son." I had to be an in the closet Lion King fan. So I had to use my brother as an excuse. Like, man, what you read from the video store? Oh, I got a Candyman, and then I got the Lion King for my little brother. But really, I got it for me. You know what I mean? So yeah, I absolutely love this movie, adore this movie, and I've passed it on to, of course, my daughter, who's now 19, and now my son, who is turning 9 this year. I passed it to him when he was like 3. You know what I mean? So like 3 generations of loving the Lion King, and that's all I can really say, man. I love this joint.
That's awesome, man. No, yeah, that's great to hear. And that's exactly why I invited you on, because I knew you were just that little bit older where you were able to like be in a different place in your life. Whereas I mentioned this just a moment ago, I had the experience with like there's a specific story when I was really young. The Lion King was technically, I guess, the first film my mom ever took me to the theater. I don't remember it at all. I guess that like I was able to kind of say enough words at like one something to kind of like get across some sort of gibberish. And she said that like when the opening Circle of Life song plays and the second it said The Lion King at like right after that song with that big bass drop, that I was like, all right, I thought the movie was over. I was like, all right, let's get out of here. Like, so I ended up at a really young age, within like the age of like 2 to 4-ish, I had a pair of light up Simba shoes with Velcro on the front. And apparently, according to the stories I've heard, I never wanted to take these shoes off. Like it was a hassle to get them off, to the point where there are stories where my mom, my dad, and my uncle, my aunt, like 2 of them would have to like be covering my ears while one of them would peel the Velcro off while I was sleeping to get them off, because of how obsessed I was with those shoes. And the Lion King as an overall, I mean, the video games, the world, you're talking about the generations, it would end up spawning 2 sequels, one of which being an in-between movie. You got Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, and Lion King 1.5, which is essentially the first movie, but from the perspective of Timon and Pumbaa. It's a slightly different telling of the story. And now, of course, we've gotten a live action remake. We got a live action like prequel film coming soon with Mufasa. And there's been, various video games and things. And there's a new Disney Channel TV show called The Lion Guard that continues on the legacy. So Lion King has definitely had its legacy. But now we've talked all the love. We've talked all the nostalgia. Mike, what were your thoughts on watching this film for the very first time? A film from 1994. We were literally several decades removed. How do you feel about the film today?
Yeah, I mean, I had a great time with the movie. But personally, I think because I saw the live action first, it kind of ruined the experience for this one a little bit, because I knew everything that was coming. I knew the story, of course, whereas going into that live action one, I didn't know any of the twists or turns or anything. And I was like, I've seen this scene, I've seen this one, and of course, like it's a complete just basically live action of the animation. But there was definitely some moments I got goosebumps for sure. Like the Circle of Life song ended, and that bass drop you said, my hairs and my arms were stood up. The moment with Scar and Mufasa, that big scene, that also had goosebumps on my arm as well. I was like, that big swear word. I'll not say it, but that swear word. I literally shouted that out loud as well. But no, I had a good time with the movie. A few gripes, which I'll get into in a little bit.
Well, that's great, man. You had me worried because you sent us this message earlier saying, "Hey, I think I'm going to have a hot take," and I'm sure once we get into your gripes, there'll be some hot takes. I'll say right out here at the top that the only thing that I think doesn't hold up about this film, by a modern lens of somebody who critiques film from modern lens, is the movie moves fairly quickly. We get to big moments pretty quickly. The movie is zooming. But I also keep in mind, too, that's how movies moved back in the day. A lot of times, it wasn't like about deep character development. Like, as long as you got the basic structure. And in the case of The Lion King, it's a film that is heavily inspired by the story of Hamlet. For anybody who's familiar with the story of Hamlet, it pulls from that storyline, very similar kind of thing. A prince, sent away by his uncle, who essentially schemed the whole thing together so that he can rule the land, and that he ends up coming back later on. There's obviously intricacies that are different to each story. Another thing that The Lion King was very criticized for in terms of ripping off was a manga and anime series from the 80s known as Kimba the White Lion. And if you look it up, there are a lot of comparisons. They said that they wasn't the case, but two main characters. You got Kimba and you got Simba here. Of course, Simba, I believe, is one of the African languages for lion, if I believe is what that means in some African language. I won't pretend to know off the top of my head here, but yeah, the Lion King as a whole, it's inspired by a lot of different stories, and so at times it can feel more like a fairy tale telling, where it gives you the bare structures and keeps the moving forward. But man, yeah, rewatching this movie, I hadn't seen it in quite a few years, even though I've seen it along many times, and I got to watch it. I watched it on my TV with surround sound. I have the lights on the screen that are the lights that map to what's going on the screen. So the movie is very colorful and vibrant. Watching that opening sequence with the lights, with the surround sound, with the lights off, I was completely engulfed in the world again. I mean, one thing that's absolutely undeniable about this film are how good the songs are. Like, the music of this film is top tier. In the world of Disney films, in the world of animated kid films that have like songs, Mike and I just went through 14 Land Before Time films, 13 of which are musicals, and 9.5 times out of 10 they were terrible. They were horrible songs. They were not memorable. Even the only song that I remember from the movies was a bad one that my wife and I sing to each other because of how bad it was. So it's kind of hilarious. But in the case of Lion King, between The Circle of Life or I Just Want to Be King or I Can't Wait to Be King, Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Be Prepared, Hakuna Matata. Like, I mean, the songs are so iconic. The voices behind these characters. So Rashad, let's talk about like main highlights. What are the things when you think about the Lion King, like that just give this film its identity? What is something about this film that you always love when you go back and revisit it?
Everything. This film is flawless to me, even to this day. And I know you mentioned earlier the pace, but you got to think this is a kids' film. That they designed this film for kids who have the attention span of Cocker Spaniels. When you have children, you know what I'm talking about. They get lost very easily. So my son being 2, my daughter being, I think, 2 or 3 when I first showed them, never lost interest, never started playing with other stuff. They was like zoned in the whole time. So, everything about this movie worked, man. The score, not just the Disney standards, but just movies, period. I think this is one of the best scored films ever. You know what I mean? Like, I get goosebumps when I hear like that last score where Simba's walking on Pride Rock and it's raining and then the sun comes up and you hear Mufasa, remember. Like, I get goosebumps when I see that, man. So the animation at the time was I don't want to say different, but it was definitely elevated compared to the stuff that came before it. You had Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin and Little Mermaid, and Lion King just took it up another level. You know what I mean? Like, it was just right before they started doing like the Toy Story stuff, like the Pixar stuff. Like, that was like top tier animation. So everything worked, man. The voice acting, the scenes, the comedy, everything just hit to me. Even though we've seen the story in Hamlet already, but like I always say, if you repeat the story, if it's executed right, even though you've seen it before, if it's done right, it doesn't fucking matter. It still gets you.
For sure. No, I totally agree, man. I think this is a perfect movie. I brought up that gripe because it's the only thing on rewatch that I could see myself griping about. But I was like a kid in a candy store rewatching this film. I was so into the songs again, so into the characters. And I think what's beautiful about this film truly is that, like, it's got the Hakuna Matata, let's eat bugs, let's have a good time, let's be all silly. You got Timon and Pumbaa being, doing fart jokes and stuff. But the movie is so rooted in these real themes about life, death, and forgiveness of oneself and of the past, and like letting go, but remembering who you are, and like being able to kind of live with those that have passed, like that they live in you. And the sequel has one of my favorite songs in any of the Lion King films. It's called "He Lives in You," and it plays on the themes that this movie has. And I think that the music and those themes and the heavy things about like life and death. I mean, the scene of Mufasa's death and Simba coming to speak to his dead body is got to be one of the most emotional scenes, I think, in any kids movie. And the fact that they put it out there for such young audiences at that time to take in what it is for something that's inevitable in life, without sugarcoating it much, I thought was so well done. So what about you, Mike? What were the biggest stand-up? Yeah, go ahead.
I just got one thing to add. I just thought about this. My old man brain just put this together. The one thing that did get on my nerves, though, Simba, okay? For years, I blamed him for Mufasa's death. And I remember first watching it, I said, damn it, if it wasn't for Simba, Mufasa would never have died. So I mean, I know we're gonna get into our negatives, but I know I said this is perfect. I had no gripes with it, but yeah, that's the one thing that always bothered me. Fears like, God damn it, if he wasn't so fucking hard headed, Mufasa would have still been here. And that's just me. I have problems with kids in movies, man. Like I have like short patience. When kids piss me off in movies, I root for them to get taken out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point, right? Because that's exactly. I think that's part of the strength of the movie too. Is like it is his fault. You know, he is at fault for his father's death. It was an accident, but it is his fault, and he had to like learn that and kind of take that on. You know, and of course, I'm going to pass it off to Mike now because I'm very curious about the highlights from him. But like another element that I love about this film, also as a Star Wars fan, is you have Yoda in this film essentially in the form of Rafiki who gives like. Who plays as this loony character, but he has so much wisdom, and the way he kind of like talks about the past and the present and like how the past, you know, affects the present. I love this scene where he whacks him on the head and then he goes to swing at him again. He ducks and he's like, you know, you learn from the past. And the way that they're able to capture that, it reminded me it's always reminded me of Yoda from Empire Strikes Back when Luke meets him on Dagobah, where he's, you know, he's playing the bumbling fool to upset Luke a little bit, only for him to realize, okay, this is the Jedi Master Yoda. So it's very similar kind of tone to me. What about you, Mike? What were the highlights for you on your first watch? Was there things that stood out to you? Because Rashad and I have that advantage of having heard these songs a billion times. And I'm sure over the course of time through the peripherals, you've heard these songs. I'm imagining at least a couple of them. And I know you've been to like Disney World and stuff like that, so I'm sure you've seen a lot of this stuff. What are the things that stuck to you this time rewatching it? How did you feel about the animation? Give us your full thoughts on all the things you liked about it.
Yeah, of course. So you beat me to the punch with that Rafiki scene with like the stick. Like I love that. It was so simple, but it's like such a strong message of like moving on from the past without like a huge, you know, exposition dump about the past, you know. So that was one scene. I also really appreciated the fact when Mufasa dies, he doesn't have like a cheesy, corny, like go out speech to his son. You know, he just dies. His son has to like take that shock in, and then straight away he's like told like get out, you know, and by Scar, and he does. So I really like that, really big, powerful scene. But I would say my favorite scene was probably the opener. Because that song I've heard, of course, the start. I'm not going to try to do it.
Go ahead, go for it, man.
No. You guys could probably master that, but no. But like after like that one word pretty much spoken, I didn't actually know the rest of that song. I've heard little tiny bits, but that's it. But like that opening scene for me is probably my favorite part because it showed you the world we're going to be exploring throughout the entire duration. It gives you a scope of how big this place is as well. Like all the animals there, the different varieties, the beautiful nature. And I think it just really helped set the scene of what this is actually going to be. Because I know throughout, you know, we have different moments, which we'll touch on with Timon and Pumbaa being introduced later on and all that kind of stuff. But I just felt like it really just give us such a... Because we always talk about movies when we review them, right? About like the world building and like how they develop that. Well, because this is all just animals, it's so easy that scene just to establish your world already without further explanation. No, man. So I loved a lot of this movie, yeah, for sure. But yeah, Simba ain't shit.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well,
he was told one thing not to do.
One
he can
thing
have
not to do.
everything else, but one thing, and he has to go in there in the first 5 minutes.
Look, got his daddy dead, was screwing his cousin. Don't even have no bass in his voice like Mufasa. Come on, how does your dad talk like this? And I'm like, hey, I got the bump in my head to prove it. Dude, where's your bass?
Rashad, I've got to ask you very quickly to just interrupt you a second.
Okay.
Is this the only movie role where you didn't feel like punching Matthew Broderick?
Yeah, because I didn't have to see his face. I just heard his voice, so I can handle the voice, but I just can't take his face. I just want to just sock him one good time. Can't stand Matthew Broderick.
That's what I was thinking when I was watching. I was like, this voice sounds familiar, and I looked up afterwards. I was like, oh, yeah. Rashad over there with his
Ferris Bueller himself. Yeah, Ferris Bueller himself.
That's fucking hilarious.
Hilarious.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely fantastic, dude. I didn't know that you had such a hatred for Matthew Broderick.
But, oh yeah.
I guess we're gonna have to do some more Matthew Broderick films on my channel.
Rashad's busy on those days.
I'm on vacation.
Between him and Denise Richards, I don't know who I want to punch in the face harder. Like
Really?
they just have the most punchable faces, man.
Damn, I love Denise Richards, or at least I did when I was younger. But I think most guys
just smiles. Every time you see her, if it's a serious scene, I just got my heart broken. If she's scared, I'm very frightened. Like, dude, you the fucking Joker? Like, show some more emotion, man. You got no range. I'm sorry.
Oh man,
no, you're good, man. You're good. I love that, man. Well, I mean, it was great to hear your thoughts too, Mike, about what you really liked about the movie. And yeah, I do agree that the opening is top tier. Like it really does establish the hierarchy as well. It gives you a sense of the respect that Mufasa that he has, that he holds. And I mean, of course, we have to talk about James Earl Jones. I mean, dude, what a fucking legend, dude. In every sense of the word. If I can be even 0.5% as cool as he is by the time I'm dead, then I'll be cool, man. But the voice, to play so many incredible characters over the course of his career in indie projects, on the stage, in big films, comedies like Coming to America, but also to become arguably one of, if not the greatest cinematic villain of all time, or at least one of the most recognizable Darth Vader, whether he's your favorite or not.
Right.
Even people who don't know Star Wars know who Darth Vader is. Like, he's got to be one of the most iconic villains of all time. And to play probably the greatest father of all time as well, not in Darth Vader, but as Mufasa, is just so great, man. What he brings to the role, the charisma. So as far as cast members, Rashad, I'll throw it off to you. Any standouts for you? Obviously, you can speak on James Earl Jones as well, but who are like your standout performers in this film for you? Jeremy
Irons, for sure. Jeremy Irons is Scar. So when they announced the live action one, and they said that Chewie Chafatu, whatever the fuck his name is, was going to be playing Scar, I'm like, why not get Jeremy Irons back? He's not too old.
I'm sorry. Can you say his name again for me?
was it Chewie Chafata?
Are you talking about Chiwetel Ejiofor?
There you go. That's his name. There you go.
Chewie Chafata.
See that's your problem. You laugh at the wrong shit. You should be trying to help me instead of laughing at me.
I'm sorry, dude. I just think about when you had me on your channel for that Denzel Washington Spike Lee joint that we covered. I'm struggling to remember the name right now.
Which one? Inside Man.
Inside Man, yeah. Inside you were Man, like, Perez, I'm gonna have you tell everybody what this movie's about because I can't name the cast members.
I can't. I have a hard time saying. There's certain words I have a hard time saying, and that's one of them. Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off, bro.
No, you good. You good. So yeah, when they announced that Jeremy Irons wasn't coming back, I'm like, why? He was so iconic in that role with that voice. I'm like, what the? But yeah, he was a clear standout because you hated Scar, but he was that villain that you loved to hate. You know what I mean? And it starts with the voice. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. The first thing I think of is the scene with him and Mufasa where he's like, "Don't turn your back on me, Scar." Oh no, yeah. You shouldn't turn your back on me. Like it's just like low but chilling at the same time. Like James Earl Jones has his booming voice, and Jeremy Irons is just like really like sneaky, like you can just hear the snakiness in his voice. I don't know, that's probably not a word, but you know what I mean.
No, I agree. Yeah, I think he definitely captures that like sense of like he's maniacal. He's just so malicious, but he's like he's fucking cool. Like he's just and his design is cool too. Like the character design, he looks great.
Right. So yeah, him, and then I would say, I didn't realize that Whoopi Goldberg did the voice of one of the hyenas until I saw the credits. I was like, oh shit, that was Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah. So yeah, she was a standout too. I thought she was hilarious.
Yeah, I think it's Whoopi Goldberg. I want to say Cheech. Cheech is the other one.
Marin, yeah, Cheech Marin. Yeah.
And Jim Cummings. Funny enough, Jim Cummings, who's famous in the Disney world for playing Winnie the Pooh, as well as an onslaught of other characters. I mean, he plays Darkwing Duck, and in the world of Star Wars, he plays Hondo Ohnaka, which is always something I love. He plays Scar in certain parts of the singing part of Be Prepared when Jeremy Irons was actually sick, because he's well known for doing voices of other actors. So Jim Cummings plays the dopey of the three hyenas, but he also dubs in a couple of scenes of Scar in the film as well.
Yeah, what's his name? Ed.
Right. Yeah.
Shout out to Ed, man. He was my favorite hyena.
and something to mention is that obviously we were talking about James Earl Jones, who was in Coming to America, but the actress who I'm trying to remember her name right now. Oh yeah, Madge Sinclair.
Sinclair, yes.
He also, the two of them both played the king and queen in Coming to America, and both get to play, obviously Mufasa and Sarabi here, which I think is a great callback. I don't think most people who were kids caught on to that, but if you were a fan of Coming to America, for sure, definitely a really cool standout. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You can continue.
No. I was finished. I was done.
Gotcha. Of course, another two big standouts for me, at least, as well. Nathan Lane as Timon and Ernie Sabella as Pumbaa. I mean, without a doubt, steal the show. Just two of the most iconic characters. What about you, Mike? Standout characters and performers here for you?
So I was actually going to say, when you talk about Jim Cummings, so when I finished the movie, I was speaking with Emma, and she was telling me about Jim Cummings did some of the singing for Scar as well, which you can't tell the difference between that and Jeremy Irons.
I had no idea.
I didn't either. She loves that movie, her dad's favorite movie as well, so it's pretty cool. For me, I would probably say with you, Perez. Yeah, probably Mufasa and James Earl Jones. Just because his voice alone is domineering, but to the point where it's a respect your elder. You're not going to go against him when he's got that powerful voice again. I don't know. I know, my dad, for example, when I was younger, he's got a powerful voice when I was younger, so I would never go against anything my dad would say,
Right.
Mike, go take out the trash now, my son. My son.
Now do that. Now do it again with an English accent.
Oh, I don't know if I can pull that off.
Does your dad have an English accent as well?
Nah, not really.
No. Okay.
No. Gotcha. Being from Malta, he's a little bit, but not much. No.
Gotcha. Because I remember you told me that he's from Malta or from Malta. Yeah. So
from Malta,
yeah. So I figured, I didn't know if he had the accent. Can you do an impression of your dad as Mufasa?
No.
Put some bass in it. Put some bass in it.
I don't know.
No,
Mike, you be a good boy.
There you go.
I guess that was bad.
That was terrible.
Keep practicing.
Before
Rashad,
we're not all good as impressions like you are.
Oh, stop it.
Rashad is really, you kill me with the impressions, especially of my favorite of Rashad's personally is one of our YouTube peers, but I won't say whose name. He does absolutely perfectly.
Oh man, I know you're talking about. Yeah,
that's my favorite one.
Show.
Yeah, after the show, it's the best. It's the best impression, especially since we all know who this person is.
Yeah.
Really quickly before we continue on, Rebecca popped in here to say, "Hey there, buddy, what's up?" Said it's a very good movie to watch. I was 7 years old back in the year of 1994. Sin of Sin's Corner, who I had on last week for Amazing Spider-Man 2. Hello. Alden Tuttle saying, I love this movie. It's definitely in my top 10 Disney films. I would have to agree. Definitely in my top 5 Disney films.
Yeah.
Mr. Fulton Mraz says, hello, everybody. Today is my big 25th golden birthday, a quarterly of a century of a decade. Well, happy birthday. Happy birthday.
God, I'm 20 years older than you, man.
I am 6 years older than them.
Yeah, y'all just laughing.
Hey, Jamie Powell popped in here saying, good evening, gentlemen. I remember seeing The Lion King on opening weekend at UCI Cinema. It was such a huge hit. The score, music is a fantastic comedy. It's a good story and it's good characters. Yeah, totally couldn't agree more. And of course, rest in peace, James Earl Jones. Also said he was amazing in Field of Dreams, which is very true. I also, as a kid, loved seeing James Earl Jones for his one scene in The Sandlot as a kid. I
still gotta watch that.
Rashad,
really? You never hold it. Now me and Mike get to have a Rashad. You've never seen The Sandlot?
I've never seen The Sandlot. It's been on my queue for the longest, and I've just always kind of pushed it back. I'll do it some other time. But
Which
I
is
still haven't
crazy
watched
because
it.
I feel like it's your kind of movie. I feel like if you had seen it when you grew up, you would have really enjoyed that movie. As a kid, my dad loved that movie, so he would put it on often, and we used to watch it pretty often. It's a really iconic movie of its time. And James Earl Jones is only in one scene of the movie, but it's an impactful scene for sure. I really enjoyed him in that movie. All right. Well, I want to throw it back to Mike again because Rashad and I have pretty much praised everything about this film. We want to marry this film in a lot of ways. But Mike, you had some more gripes on the films, and this is the first time, you don't have any nostalgia attached to it. So let's hear about the things you didn't like about this film as your first time watch.
Oh shit.
Yeah. There you go. This is probably going to be a big hot take. But I actually wasn't really a fan of the song "Be Prepared," and I know again.
Get him,
might
chat.
as well leave now.
Get him, chat. Get him, chat.
I'm sorry. I took my earplug. I didn't hear what you said, Perez.
I just said get him, chat.
I think for me, it's like, don't get me wrong. What I loved about that song, I love like the dark imagery scenes, like just to kind of emphasize like how evil Scar is. Like I love that part. I just felt like before the music starts, it kind of left on an impactful ending to that scene, being like, right, yeah, we're gonna kill Mufasa. And I was like, right, we know that. We don't really need to know the rest of that. I don't know. I just wasn't a huge fan of the song personally.
What, Mike? You tripping? I know you were singing. Come on, you were singing along to that. A tiny new era is tiptoeing near the. Where do we come in? Just listen to teacher.
It's interesting because that song is one of the most beloved from the movie. And Mike, you may not know this or you may not remember it, but it is the only major song that is cut from the live action film. And it was one of the biggest criticisms that live action film has from fans of the original, that they did not include the song. He does say "be prepared." He kind of like mumbles he like sings the first verse, but kind of in like speak song where he's not really singing it, but he's kind of hidden some of the beats of it. But then that scene wraps up. And I remember people being livid when that movie came out, that they did not include "Be Prepared." So Mike, all I can say is that, like, you may get some naughty comments in your comment section now. And all I can say is be prepared.
Doki, da, 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 da. Dog, you tripping. Like, even in the video game, that was one of the best parts of the Super Nintendo game, was that "Be Prepared" like spot. If you haven't played the Super Nintendo version of The Lion King.
One of the most frustrating games of all time. You die from the littlest things in that game. It's got to be one of the hardest NES games ever.
I agree. Wow. But still so cool to play. The graphics was like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, top
I loved it. I would start the levels over and over again, but I'd die every 5 seconds. And then I grew up. I thought I just sucked at the game. And then I grew up and found out that it was like kind of like known as being like one of the more challenging games of that era. I was like, okay, well, here they are. The Lion King, made for kids, is a diabolically hard game. What else, Mike? All right, so you don't like, hot take, you don't like "Be Prepared." What else didn't work for you in this film?
Again, I think it's more for the fact I've seen the live action first. So, like I was mentioned top of the stream, where I say, like, I knew the scenes, I knew what was coming, so I wasn't surprised. Whereas I felt if I went in this blind, hadn't seen any of them, I would have like been like, wow, that was like so powerful and moving, a lot of the scenes. But because I saw a lot of them coming, it kind of took away that enjoyment a little bit for me, which is a shame because I still had a great time with it. I think some little parts of animation, there was one scene where like Scar's animation was like darker, then like it goes lighter, and I was like, obviously, bit of contrast with the upscale and Blu-ray 4K, but they're only like little minor nitpicks really. Nothing major.
Your first mess up is you watched the live action first. Damn it!
Right?
Why did you do that? Why did you that? That's almost like what's that compared to, where they like, yeah, I see the live action, but I never seen the what? Like, what is wrong with you? I can't think of another example, but dog, that's what you messed up at.
Yeah.
Why did you decide? Okay, you know what? I'm going to watch this first before I watch the OG. Why?
Well, it's like my friend the other day at work that I was giving a hard time to, who told me that they watched The Force Awakens as their first ever Star Wars movie, and like they knew that there was other ones, but they never watched any of the other ones before. And then they were like, I was a little bit confused, and I was like, yeah, I mean, you started on the 7th movie.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? That's almost like when I hear somebody say they saw the 2010 Karate Kid before they saw the OG, and I'm like, dog, what are you doing?
Well, Rashad, that's your favorite one, though.
Shit.
Hey, man, let me tell you something. If Jaden Smith does not show up in this next part of Cobra Kai, I'm riding.
No. Why? I don't want to see Jaden.
Hey, man, what? Listen, we'll see. That's
a whole nother
stream.
Yeah,
I'll get into that because Jackie Chan has to be coming, right? Because of that movie that's coming, but we'll leave that for another stream for sure. Jackie Chan has to be coming.
I've got to ask you guys a question.
Yeah,
so just on the topic of like these scenes, we're talking about gripes and stuff. There was one part I was confused for a second, and I don't know. You guys have seen this movie hundreds of times, so probably not. But you know the scene where, of course, they're singing Hakuna Matata, and right at the end, obviously it shows Simba grown up. But at first I was like, "Who the hell's that?" I was like, "Is Mufasa still alive?" Because the animation of him and Mufasa is like the exact same.
No, it ain't.
They look pretty much exactly the same.
Mufasa has a stronger jaw. Mufasa looks like a man. Simba looks like a boy. You know. Come on,
much the same. So for a second, I was like, "Who is that?" I was like, "How is he alive?"
But I think that was the point because even when Scar saw him again, he was like, "Mufasa, no, you're dead." Like, come on, like you know, people that look just like their damn daddy.
Right.
Yeah, no, I got that.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, the next scene, it's like, oh, you know, they say it's Simba, right? And I was like, right, that makes sense.
Well, I have to ask because I know you watched this movie on a treadmill. We talked about that, but did you?
I actually watched it at home.
Oh, okay, cool. I know you mentioned it. So right before that, though, there's that iconic shot of the three of them walking across the log, singing Hakuna Matata, and in that sequence, you see Simba aging up, like frame by frame. He goes from like little small Simba to like growing a little bit of hair, like teenage phase, and then to full grown Simba. Yeah. So that's the scene that kind of showcases that he's growing up. But you know, and in the case, I know a lot of people are always like, well, how long has it been? Big cats grow up pretty fast to like full grown. Yeah. Like I think within like a year and some change, they get to like full grown size. So it wasn't that long that he was gone. But I guess I could see like if you missed that one shot of him like aging up quickly, that maybe.
I'll tell you what happened. This is what Mike did. Mike was watching, and all of a sudden, when that part happened, Mike says, "Facebook, what's going on here?" kind of like I did with the Half Blood Prince. You know what I'm saying? So I'll let that one slide. No. Because
listen. As much as that might be true about Mike, here's what happened with Rashad with the Half Blood Prince.
Here we go. You put my business out there, man.
Know to this day.
My favorite thing of all time was I can't remember what movie it was. I want to say it was Civil War. There was just a moment where it was like dead silent, and Rashad was sat next to me, and he's just like, I just hear the snoring, and all I did was turn my head. I didn't even say anything to him. I just turned my head and I just see Rashad go, like just dead asleep, snoring. I turned my head. It's like he felt the presence of my head turn, and you just opened your eyes. Like that was the funniest thing.
You know why? Because I'm conditioned. Because when me and my daughter go to the movie, she picks at me whenever I go to sleep. So my body's conditioned to just be alert, to catch myself snoring. So we saw A Quiet Place day one, and that movie put me to sleep. And that's the wrong movie to go to sleep on because she was so embarrassed afterwards. She didn't go to movies with me for a while because I had like a loud like ha, and she said the guy looked over like, "Is he okay?"
That's great.
So funny. With how quiet that movie is, that's perfect, dude. That's absolutely
man. That's why I try to nap before I go to the cinema now, so I get my sleep out, and then when I get there, I'll be like wide awake.
That's absolutely hilarious. Wow. Well. Quickly, we should some more comments here. We can take a look at. Got JB Powell saying that The Sandlot. I don't know why, but as a kid, found it scary. Maybe I'm alone there. Such a great film. The pretending to drown bit wouldn't be allowed now, though. Yeah, that's definitely a scene of its time for sure. Rashad, you should definitely see that movie for sure. Since Corner pulling a mic in here saying, I've never seen The Sandlot either, so this time I'm in the same boat as Mike usually.
That expression, I'm pulling the mic.
Mike ain't seen shit.
Hey, Rashad, in this case, you ain't seen shit.
Nah, in this case, I have never seen it.
I'll take
Last week when I had Sin on, I mentioned that we were doing The Lion King this week, and I mentioned it would be Mike's first time. And Sin was like, Of course he hasn't seen it. Of course he hasn't seen it. JB Powell also says, "What the duck? You don't like be prepared. Be prepared for an onslaught. To each their own."
That song is iconic, man.
It's
Top
being
tier.
kind.
Said I completed the Lion King Nintendo game. It took about a year though. Yeah, I did beat it at some point, but it was a challenging game. The live action film fell flat in comparison. The prequel that's coming, apparently Scar and Mufasa aren't brothers. What the F? I don't know. And so
Okay.
I'm curious to see what they do, because the movie, the sequel, The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, which I will say here, I should also add, over the course of the next couple of months, I will be having Rashad and Mike on. We're going to be covering 1.5 and Simba's Pride, the sequel, which Simba's Pride, the sequel, is, I think, a really good follow-up. I really enjoy it. It does not sing to the same heights as this Lion King movie, but I do think it is a really solid film. But it does have that straight-to-video feel to it, to a degree.
That's why I never watched it.
Right. In that film, though, we're introduced. So the movie focuses primarily on Simba and Nala's daughter, Kiara, who is going to be in this new film. So the new film is a prequel, but they show her in the trailer. So my guess is that she's going to be getting told the story of Mufasa, and it's going to be flashbacks most of the movie. But Kiara is going to be in it. In that movie, without getting too deep into spoilers, there's a love interest to Kiara's character, and his name's Kovu, and he is from like Scar's side of the family. And we see a group of lions that are a little bit darker in skin shade, or like not skin shade, but like in what's it called, in their fur coat, very similar to Scar, where he's got like kind of the darker brown coat to him. Right. And so they're a different sect of lions. So it kind of like established in that movie that Scar and Mufasa were like brothers of sorts, but it kind of had like two different family lines. So I don't know exactly how they're going to tackle that in the new movie. But it'll be interesting, because I feel like they're pulling, even though it's a prequel and it's a different thing, I feel like they're pulling a little bit from Simba's Pride for this new movie that's coming out. So we will see for sure. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how they tackle that moving forward. All right, cool. So we talked about the songs. We've talked about the great cast members. We've talked about, the very few things to non-existent things that Rashad and I dislike about the film, and the things that Mike doesn't like about the film. I guess the question now is, what is something about this film that you think keeps this movie so popular? Like, what is it of all the good movies in the world? What is it about this that you think? And Mike, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in a moment, because you're seeing this for the first time. So you curious what you think is like, what is the crux of this movie? Rashad, what do you think this movie like has that other animated films, even good ones, don't have?
It's just that it factor, man. Like, like when you watch some wrestlers, you'd be like, I can't really put my finger on it, but it's just something about that wrestler, that person, that they just have it. The Lion King just has it. You know what I mean? It just like, it checks off like a lot of the boxes, like say a lot of the other ones do, but it just has that something that it just translates from generation to generation. Like in my case, 2 generations, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's just an indescribable thing, man. Either you got it or you don't. Star Wars has that. You know what I'm saying? Like, Star Wars is a science fiction movie that other movies tried to copy, but unsuccessful. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have a whole Star Wars exploitation era that most people don't know about, where they just had so many copycats, but you can't copy that. And that's pretty much that's how I can sum it up. It just has that it factor that you just can't put your finger on.
No, yeah, it's a good way to put it. What about you, Mike? What about watching the movie for the first time, even in areas that you didn't love it? Was there something about you where you can go, I can see why this film is so beloved by so many?
Yeah, I think for me it'd just be simplicity. Like watching this movie, there's no intricate, crazy plot at the helm of it. It's a simple story about, the death of Mufasa and his son coming back to take back what he's owed. Of course, he's outcasted for a long time. They've got a great villain, great songs that goes with it. I mean, except Be Prepared, but that's here or there. But no, I know I'm the odd one out probably. But no, like great songs, great characters, like the characters that don't need a lot of backstory to them to really care about them. And I think the fact also like there's no human characters in here also helps it a lot, because just simple about animals, different animals, how they get along with each other. And yeah, I also think like the dialogue's solid. Like in terms of there's no corny joke. Well, I mean, I know it's fart jokes, but kind of about the extent of that kind of lack of comedy. But there's like the dialogue's not aged badly, and there's no like jokes from back in the '94 that doesn't come into 2024. And I think anyone can just watch this and just love it. Like the color, the vibrancy as well in the world it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point there about the dialogue. I think that's part of what makes this film last. That kind of have that long lasting like legacy is because you do have that element of the film where it's like it feels like you mentioned there's no humans, but it feels human. The story feels
Right.
like something that we can all take something from. Like we are all, in our lives, we all run from things. We all feel shame and guilt for our decisions of the past, especially when we were younger. You kind of have to find who you are as an adult. You realize as you get older, for better or for worse, some of those things that your parents instilled in you and those things that they are in there, like are in you and they live through you. And then the idea of life and death, like we are all running towards the same ending. It's like it's crazy. We're all gonna die one day. We will all not be here, and people are gonna die before us. And how it impacts us, how we're going to allow it to impact us moving forward. I think that this film's ability to like have this simplistic narrative, but still get across so much and have like fun songs like Hakuna Matata and fart jokes from Pumbaa, where he's clearing the whole savannah after every meal. It's it's
Pumbaa
really,
with you, everything is gas.
and man, those two characters are just so great. I'm looking forward to watching Lion King 1.5 with you guys, because it's like it takes place like a little bit before the events of the Lion King, leading right up to them meeting Simba, but the whole movie is from their perspective.
Nice.
So we get to learn a little bit more about where Timon and Pumbaa came from, how they met, and then how they eventually get involved with the story of the Lion King. But then there's scenes in that movie where we're seeing like the final battle, but from Timon and Pumbaa's perspective. So like, Simba's off there fighting, but the movie's not focusing on Simba fighting Scar. It's more like about Timon and Pumbaa. So that one's a little bit more comedic. It's not as emotionally resonant. I think the sequel, Simba's Pride, leans more into the themes of the first movie. But I am looking forward to doing those videos with you guys, man. It's been a blast talking with you guys about this movie. I mean, I think it goes without saying we all enjoy the film. Mike, you had me scared because even though you don't like parts of this movie, your review for the film is fairly positive, like your overall opinion of it. And I was a little concerned because I know you and I have had a little backs and forths in WhatsApp about certain Disney movies, because I have this nostalgia to it. I remember when you first saw The Little Mermaid before the live action remake, you liked it, but you weren't crazy about it. You had more criticisms about it. You didn't think it aged as well. So it's nice to know that a few years later, within this era that's called the Renaissance era of Disney, again, started with The Little Mermaid, where things were really kind of excelling with animation. My personal favorite, I mean, like that era for me was just the best. Mulan, Beauty and the Beast, Tarzan, Hunchback of Notre Dame. There's so many great movies that came out in that window that are iconic Disney films today. And yeah, it's just great to hear your thoughts, man. I'm really looking forward to talking about the other two Lion King movies with you guys. We got Mufasa coming down the line soon enough, so I'm sure all three of us will have our own separate reviews for that on the channel. And yeah, I mean, Rashad, you got any final words to say on this movie before we get close to wrapping this up?
Yeah, well, I want to repeat what Mike said. He made a good point. The simplicity, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, yeah, this movie was very simple, and that's what works about it. And I'm just listening to the both of you talk about it. I'm like, you're almost describing Transformers 1. That's why I think Transformers 1 works so well, is because of how simple the plot is. It's just straight up, here it is, the good guy, bad guy. We got this world here, vibrant colors, likable characters. You got the comedy relief with Bumblebee, which is Timon and Pumbaa. So, yeah, just how simple this movie is, how it follows a formula, but follows it well. You know what I mean? And just everything about it just clicked, man. So, yeah, I can't look. I don't suck this movie off enough, right? I can't suck it off no more. So, yeah, Lion King gets an A plus in my book, man. My favorite animated Disney joint of all time. I have this, Lion King, Jungle Book, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and Pinocchio. That's like my top 5.
That's a good top 5 right there. That is a solid top 5. And I can't believe I'm ashamed of myself because here I am, like, I'm looking at the time, thinking about everything we've said. I think we've said what we need to say. I was about to pass it off to Mike for the, final thoughts, and then we go into our little promotions for our channel. But how did I get this far in, especially with Rashad having made a video without talking about Nala giving Simba the fuck me eyes?
They cousins. They cousins.
So, Rashad, I have to just throw it back to you. You made a video on this. Please elaborate on what I'm talking about and give me your thoughts there on Nala and Simba with the fuck me eyes.
All right, so like with many videos that I do like that, it all starts with a cup of tequila, okay, or whiskey, and watching something, and all of a sudden something clicks in my brain, like, and I swear this is just how it happened. I'm just sitting. What was I watching? I think I was watching like Fright Night or something, and then a voice said, "Do you know that Simba was actually screwing his own cousin?" And I said, "Huh?" I said, "Wait a minute, yeah, like all these lions on Pride Rock, Mufasa is the only male." And of course, like with lions, that's how it works. You have the alpha male, they have all the lionesses who do all the hunting. But I said there were no other male lions there. So wait a minute, you have all these babies. Who's the daddy? They never established who Nala's daddy was. So that's what made me come up with the idea of, okay, maybe I should kind of dig deeper in this. But no, not so much dig deeper, but just put it straight out. That was incest. That was straight up incest. So Simba and Nala having a child, that child should be jacked up. All right, that child should have like that child should have a protruding forehead with like one eye should be over here. That child should not look normal.
I love that. Well, yeah. Thank you. That was great, man. Yeah, and I just think about that shot, like rewatching the movie. I thought about you because there's that shot where during the, can you feel the love tonight, where they're rumbling and tumbling with each other, and she like they pin each other down. Yeah, and they're like looking at each other with those eyes. The eyes are overly sensual. Let's not, there's no getting around that. But yeah, Mike, what about you, man?
But Perez, even look at Simba's face. Simba wasn't expecting that because Nala's sitting there like, "Come on, big boy," and Simba's looking like, "We're cousins, but damn, you're hot." Fuck it. 30 seconds later. Was a good few as it was for me. you need a cigarette or something to bring you down?
That's great, bro.
Thank you, Jesus.
Mike, what about you, man? Any final thoughts on the movie and the fuck me eyes?
I'll be honest, I didn't really even notice it, but it makes perfect sense.
Cousins, Mike. They cousins, bro. Mufasa was getting it in, all right? Mufasa had all kind of, you know what I'm saying? And what makes Mufasa so G is that all his baby mamas are sitting there and they all getting along, So Nala's mom and Sarabi just sitting there having a whole conversation, and both of them got babies by Mufasa at the same time, and they just sitting there just kicking it. That's some straight up player shit right there, bro. Mufasa was a player.
And having that voice, Rashad, no one's going to go against him or his words. He's like, you're going to get along.
Yeah, who's going to oppose him? How you going to get with another chick in it? What did I say, Sarabi? She's here. Now leave it alone. Go tend to my son. Who's going to argue with that?
That's great.
All right, Mike. Let's hear your final thoughts on the movie.
And man, I couldn't really have much else to say. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I definitely want to go back and watch the live action one now, because then if I didn't like it as much, maybe I would boost the first, like the original, up to like a 4-star. Because I say I really did enjoy it. And I'm definitely intrigued to see the sequels as well that we'll end up discussing and see like which direction they go. But yeah, I love the simplicity of it. I will quickly add this. I do appreciate that they didn't kill Mufasa off straight away. I think it was around half an hour into the movie. I was like, wow, they've actually given him some screen time here to like actually care about him. Because, a lot of movies nowadays we watch, they kill the parents or loved one off straight away. Like The Crow, perfect example, the new Crow movie. The love interest dies in like 10 minutes in the movie and you just don't care,
Oh, wow. Yeah, and
it's
how he died too. Oh, no, I haven't seen it. I refuse to watch The Crow. I'll never watch it. I'll boycott it. Yeah, but even like, how Mufasa died was like for a kids movie.
Brutal.
It was surprisingly dark. Like he actually digs his claws into him, and like long live the king. And I don't know if I told you the story, man. I watched that in I was in 10th grade, man, and we had a substitute that day. So you know how it is when the substitute's there, they roll out the TV with the VCR. So we're watching it, right? And I don't know if it was everybody's first time watching it, but it was a did I freeze y'all?
No, I hear you. I see.
You hear it? Okay. Yeah, so it was a very emotional scene, man. So when that scene happened and Mufasa dies, the whole class is like, and then there was one kid in the class. I'll never forget his name was Saul. One kid, when that part happened. Wait a minute. Aren't cats supposed to land on their feet? And we just like, shut up, man. We threw papers at him. We're like, man, shut up. Freaking idiot, man. I mean, technically he's right, but come on, man. There's a time and a place for everything. Yeah. You're going to say that shit after he dies. Like, hey, cat's supposed to land to their feet.
That's fucking hilarious. I love that, bro. That's great, man. Well, guys, this has been a blast. Really quickly before we wrap this up, there's a couple of comments just to get through. Jamie Powell saying, if Jaden's dad was in Karate Kid, he'd slap them out of the ring. Of course.
Oh shit! Will Smith slap joke.
Rashad will cry if Jaden Smith appears.
Oh, he better not.
If he does, and I see that episode, I'm instantly texting you the second he pops up.
Yeah.
Jamie Powell also saying, has anyone seen The Lion King 2 straight to VHS sequel? Wasn't bad. Yeah, I actually really enjoyed that film. I'm looking forward to rewatching it. It's been a while, so it's possible my opinion will change, but I remember having some great songs as well. Jamie Powell also saying that my opinion of The Lion King strengths, why it's so popular, it's got great pacing. It just goes at a good pace where the story develops naturally and strongly, and has a kick-ass monkey.
Yes, sir.
I forgot about that.
I laughed at that.
Anything but that.
I went on that ride at Disney and I was like, wow, this is annoying. So
yeah. Oh, he was I forgot he had the bird, Zazu. We forgot. We didn't mention him at all. He was good too.
Yeah, Zazu. He's played by
he's cool.
Yeah, he's played by, what's his name? Mr. Bean.
Rowan.
Oh, Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah, Rowan Atkinson. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He also said that he really enjoyed the stream. Thanks.
Thank you.
The Incest King doesn't have the same ring to it in the title. The Lion Fling. And also said that it sounds like Mufasa invaded that dark, shallowy spot quite regularly.
That's why he told Simba don't go there, man. Because Mufasa was doing some dirt up in that mug.
That's fucking great, dude. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Rashad, I'll throw it off to you first. Anything you want to plug on your channel, things that have come out recently or things that are coming out soon?
Yes, sir. So I just dropped a video yesterday for the new Halle Berry horror movie. What's the name of it? Never Let Go. Yeah, I just dropped a video for that. Then the day before, I dropped a video for The Substance, which was fucking batshit crazy, man. But the more I think about it, I think the more I enjoy it. But at the time, I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? So yeah, I just dropped those two videos, and then Sunday I'm dropping a collab I did with Blacktastic Media. We covered the Temptations versus the Five Heartbeats movies. Nice. So I'm gonna be dropping that versus on Sunday, and that's it for right now.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Looking forward to all that. Mike, what about you, man? Anything you want to plug over on your channel?
I'll be honest, man. I haven't actually got any videos planned. Believe it or not, I haven't posted in like 4 days. It's crazy. I'm gonna go see The Substance again tomorrow night because Emma's not seen it, so I can't wait to see her reaction to that movie.
Record it, bro. The last 15 minutes. Record Emma's reaction to that last 15 minutes.
I'll be texting you straight away afterwards.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go see that. I am gonna go see Strange Darling as well this week or early next week. I've been hearing great things about that.
That was dope.
We've only just got it in the UK, so I'm really excited. Besides that, yeah, I'm sorry, man. I've got nothing really to plug. I actually don't know what's come next.
No, I mean that's great. The reality is there's stuff for all of these channels. So definitely go give Rashad some love on his channel. Go subscribe, and to Mike. Both of their links are down below in the description box. If you came from one of their channels and that what brought you here, thank you guys so much for stopping by and joining the chat. It's been tons of fun. And like I mentioned, this is the beginning of the live streams on Disney films. So next week, though, funny enough, I am taking a little break. I'm going to be busy next week, so I won't be able to do a live stream next week. But the week after that, currently working on it, and that week will be October. So we will be doing Disney-related Halloween films. I almost thought about saving something like that for these guys, but I wanted to start with The Lion King, and I figured these were the perfect guys to have on. But I do have a couple of streams planned throughout October for some Disney-related Halloween films. And speaking of Halloween stuff, I have already started to film some videos for my October slate of stuff.
Yeah.
I just saw the first season of Wednesday, the Tim Burton Netflix show. So that's going to be the first video that's coming out in October, on October 1st. So that video is still a ways away, but it's coming. And in terms of new stuff for me, I just dropped a review for The Substance last night, as well as one for A Different Man the night before. Got a couple of videos from the last few days. Dropped my review for the first 4 episodes of Agatha All Along, the latest MCU show. And then on Monday, Rashad and I are both Rashad. Let's just put a little love out here. Rashad is doing his first press screening as part of the Critics Association of Central Florida on Monday, as well as our buddy Robbie of the Big Rob Theory. He's also going to be there as well. So it'll be their first official press screening as press members, which is awesome, for the movie The Wild Robot, the new Lupita Nyong'o animated film. So you can expect reviews. I don't know when the embargo lifts. Oh, I think the embargo will have lifted on Sunday. So I think you can expect all 3 of our reviews for that on Monday night. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So a big thanks to everybody watching. Go give these guys some love. 2 great channels, 2 great loads of content over there, nonstop great movie related and TV content, and conversations about lion incest on Rashad's channel. All right, guys. We'll see you everybody later. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.